Hi guys, welcome back. Thanks for joining me for another Royal News video. Happy Tuesday, everybody. It's a happy Tuesday for me because the sun is shining and I have got lots of royal news to talk about. And we're going to start off with the fabulous Princess of Wales, who yesterday paid a visit to Wellington Barracks as part of her role as Colonel of the Irish Guards, because yesterday was St. Patrick's Day. Catherine looked absolutely beautiful in a dark bottle green Alexander McQueen coat dress adorned with a very special gold shamrock brooch. The jewel itself actually belongs to the regiment, and this is loaned to the royal lady who is closely associated to the regiment. And since 2011, that had been Catherine. Prior to Catherine, other royal ladies who had worn the brooch was the Queen Mother, photographed here in 2000, and then also the Princess Royal wearing the brooch back in 2005. Catherine became their leading lady, as it were, because of Prince William, as he was named by the Queen as Colonel of the regiment 2 months before their beautiful wedding. And Catherine accompanied her husband many times to visit the Irish Guards, with Catherine often taking on the role of handing out the shamrocks to the regiment before the parade. She took over the role from her husband in 2022 when Charles became king and Prince William then became the Prince of Wales and the Colonel of the Welsh Guards. Catherine greeted the Guards' mascot, a beautiful Irish wolfhound called Seamus, who is just such a gorgeous dog. Even the princess could not resist giving him a really good stroke, as he had his sprig of shamrock attached to his uniform alongside all of the other soldiers. Catherine looked radiant as she smiled alongside all of the officers with the regiment and later took the official salute from the Guards, who raised their hats in the air. As part of her official visit, she also met with cadets and veterans of the regiment as well. And after the parade, Catherine spent time in the barracks meeting all the soldiers' families, paying particular attention to some of the smaller ones. She has the cutest baby and toddler radar, and the little ones know it as well. They are just as drawn to her and mesmerised in some cases as, well, let's be honest, as are most people. Catherine put money behind the bar for everybody, just as she did last year when she was unable to attend due to undergoing surgery and then of course her cancer treatment. Guardsman Barry Lachlan raised a toast to their colonel inside the dining room, and Catherine joined them for a traditional drink of Guinness, although hers was the more dainty baby Guinness. Well, she is a princess after all. So of course, with Catherine dominating the headlines, social media trending, this could mean only one thing. Tick tick. Yes, synchronise your watches. Of course, the desperado of Montecito decided to do her own St. Patrick's Day video. I found this kind of comical given the fact that Meghan has cut off, literally ghosted, her Irish side of the family once she found out it was more beneficial to embrace the other side of her heritage, the 43% Nigerian. And just while I'm mentioning that, just a quick thought. I find it rather odd that Meghan, who recently embraced her Nigerian heritage, but on With Love Meghan, we have seen no Nigerian chefs. Maybe that will be coming to us in the following 8 episodes, but I wouldn't hold my breath. Now, her post has drawn a lot of criticism. In part because the green goo that she pours into the waffle maker did not create the end result. Sabira, who I follow on X, was quick to point out any waffle that was created in that waffle maker would have these markings when it came out. But of course, this is Meghan. She is really embracing the let's set everything up to look perfect on Instagram. But the thing that she created, I'm sorry, that churns my stomach. It looks like an Eggo, as people have pointed out, but I think it looks like it's a cold Eggo that's been soaked in lime jello. It's stomach churning, not just because of the colour, it just looks cold and just very un-waffle-like. But the whole reason with using a waffle maker was because of getting headlines like this. Oh, Meghan's using Queen Elizabeth's gift for Archie. It was a story that Harry and Meghan have told. I do not believe that a great-grandmother would buy her 2.5-year-old great-grandson a waffle maker. A gift like that is obviously for the parents, and I'm pretty certain that Harry and Meghan, when they had their hands out, certainly wouldn't have been asking for one of those. Now, other people, including the Sidley twins, were quick to point this out. Look at the creation and now look at this picture of Queen Elizabeth. Do you think she did that on purpose? I can't help but think that she did. So then when Meghan gets backlash, she can go, I was only making waffles for the children. Why won't they leave me alone? This is the sort of abuse that I had, the reason why I had to escape. It's all part of her cauldron stirring victim narrative. You can see exactly why she's done it. And as I said, I mean, the fact that she's completely cut off her Irish side of the family and treating that side of the family so badly, I don't think that she should really be celebrating St. Patrick's Day somehow, do you? Now, moving away from them, let's get back to talking about one of our favourite royal couples, the Prince and Princess of Wales, who had some fun on Saturday night as they both went to the Six Nations rugby match between England and Wales. And sorry, Welsh fans, stick your fingers in your ears as I tell everybody that England... we did wipe the floor with the Welsh team. The scores at the end of the match were 68-14 to England. Despite the epic victory, France still took the Six Nation crown after beating Scotland 35-16. Princess Anne, who is patron of the Scottish Rugby Union, had jumped on the Eurostar and she was there sat quite happily amongst a lot of the French fans, wearing a blue and green tartan scarf to show her allegiance. Now, this is one of the things that I love about rugby, and it's very different for football because I mean, if you were of the opposite team and you ended up the wrong side, you'd be lucky if you made it out with your shirt in one piece, let alone with some football clubs, perhaps your face. They don't exactly mix together, whereas you see rugby fans doing so, which is great because we saw Catherine and William sitting alongside each other. Now, obviously, with the score that we had, Catherine, oh, she looks devilish here, doesn't she? Look at William's face. These two are so competitive, so you just know that she was ribbing him. The way that he looks at her, though, what a lovely engagement for them both to be at and to see them having fun between each other. Prince William was, of course, there because, one, he is the Prince of Wales, but also he's been patron of the Welsh Rugby Union since 2016. And Catherine was there because she has been made patron of the Rugby Football Union and the Rugby Football League since 2022, and she took over from her England-hating brother-in-law. Yes, otherwise known as H. We've seen Catherine really involve herself with the sport of rugby ever since she took over the role, and Catherine and William are absolute sports fanatics. You can tell just by their builds. They are both super healthy and both super whipped in shape, and trust me, I've had quite a few looks at Prince William. I know it's naughty, isn't it? But come on. Now, speaking of Prince William, very excited that he is going to be over in Estonia later this week, and we might get to see him in his army fatigues. So ladies and gentlemen, get the ice packs ready. So moving away from our really likeable royal couple, let's talk about someone whose likability seems to be called into question every time she launches a new business venture. Some people say the backlash is unfair, other people say it's completely justified. But either way, it's certainly a talking point whenever Meghan unleashes something new onto the unsuspecting public. Now, I want to say something to you guys here, and that is, I genuinely think that I have a little bit of admiration for Meghan at this point. No, I have not been day drinking. Don't look at your calendars. It is not April 1st. It is simply purely to do with the fact that she keeps going and going. She's like a Duracell bunny. She will not stop. While she might bleat and cry about the backlash that she gets, she still, week after week, puts herself back out there. Maybe it's less admiration and more fascination. I'm undecided at this point. She is that slow motion train wreck that people just can't seem to tear their eyes away from. So before you decide to switch off, hear me out. Who else in the world could be called an evil bully who terrorizes the people that she works with to the point that they are left crying and slumped over their desks? They end up in long-term therapy and, of course, as we've seen a long pattern of quitting their jobs. Who else in the world could, in all honesty, be called a demon duchess, a dictator in high heels? By The Hollywood Reporter, by Vanity Fair, by the Daily Beast. This is a woman who's now infamous more than she is famous because she helped destroy her husband's relationship with not just his friends, not just his army colleagues, but also his family and even the country he was born into. I mean, that's a pretty mean feat. But then she creates a show about the joys of hosting and wishing to show everybody a little bit of love. Look how she's treated her father, and we're now expected to believe with Love Meghan is the genuine Meghan after the way that she's cut off friends and family and encouraged Harry to do the same. Who else would have the brass neck to do such a thing? Who else, after releasing their show, which is being universally panned and serialized into millions of TikTok videos as a mini comedy show, where newsreaders, podcasters, comedians and fellow celebrities now have an abundance of material because of how awful her 8 episodes of, well, let's call it what it was, a narcissistic vanity project. They have got endless content because of that show, and she's going to release another 8. So when Meghan is getting all of this backlash, a mere mortal would have stuck their head in the sand or cried on the floor like we've heard Meghan doing countless times. Not Meghan. Oh, no. She then decides in the midst of all of this backlash that she's going to release a new podcast. Not just any podcast, but one about being a female founder. This is a woman who launched American Riviera Orchard last year and never secured the trademark. She never had products ready to launch, and to this day, even despite changing the company name, she still will not have products available for many more months. This is a woman who plagiarized the concept and ideas from the successful Flamingo Estates after they turned down her offer to partner with them. Probably the words active partner made them run for the hills, given her previous business acumen and her ability to take full credit for things that are just not hers, including swiping the logo idea from either Buckingham Palace gates or a sleepy, beautiful Spanish village. But hey, as Meghan says, it's all in the details. Now, as for the details, Confessions of a Female Founder, lots of people said that she swiped the idea from this YouTuber. But in Meghan's defense, this lady had only created one YouTube video from over a year ago. So I say, well, that's kind of fair game. But who I believe Meghan has actually copied, not just the name of it, but the entire podcast, is Kelsey Borges, who created Confessions of a CEO. But let's talk about the synopsis that Meghan put out for her podcast first. I've been having candid conversations with amazing women who have turned dreams into realities and scaled small ideas into massively successful businesses. They are opening up and sharing their tips and tricks and tumbles and letting me pick their brains as I build out my own business as ever. It has been absolutely eye-opening, inspiring and fun. Well, of course, who can forget Meghan's love of fun, or rather her love of sucking the fun out of everything. I honestly think she sucks it out of every room, stuffs it in one of these balloons, and then she popped one at the beginning of every single episode. So why did I say that I admire her? Well, I think it's the word admiration that I'm looking for. I'm undecided yet. Add yours into the comments. But it's because of her persistence at putting herself out there day after day, week after week, despite all of the negativity and the backlash surrounding her. Most normal people, if they had got caught plagiarising the amount of times that Meghan has been caught, and we're not just talking the odd little thing, quite major stuff, anything from logos, other people's speeches, book titles, ideas, business concepts, you name it, Meghan has plagiarised it. And as I said, even this new podcast. Meghan's is Confessions of a Female Founder, while Kelsey's was Confessions of a CEO, which sees her talk about her own experiences of rebranding her family business as she interviews other female founders on their businesses, their experiences and issues that they had faced building up their brands. Now, okay, she doesn't seem to have updated her podcast since 2023, but this is a total copy-paste of exactly what Meghan is doing. Any normal person who gets caught out as much as Meghan does wouldn't dream of copying someone else's idea to the T, knowing that they're going to get caught out. This was quite clearly an obvious copy, and Meghan just doesn't seem to care. She doesn't care, she keeps on going. But any other normal person that had been called out for bullying to the extent that Meghan has, they wouldn't start a podcast talking about being a girl boss, because that's basically what it is. A female founder is just a modern day version of the noughties trend of women talking about being their own bosses and building up their businesses. This is a woman that is known for terrorising and bullying other women. It's like what I said with Harry, him promoting mental health. It's like Hannibal Lecter promoting veganism. This is another thing. And don't even get me started on Meghan's sultry pose here. She shed the fact a few weeks ago she was being a trad wife, a Stepford wife, and now she wants to be taken as a serious businesswoman as she looks at the camera. She looks like she's about to suck her finger. I mean, it does honestly look like that this should be called The Secret Confessions of a Cool Girl or a Femme Fatale. You know, just look at the state of Harry these days. Again, most normal people who have signed an £18 million contract with one of the biggest streaming companies in the entire world, Spotify, if they had failed as spectacularly as what Meghan did with her Archetypes podcast, they certainly wouldn't be going, oh, I know what I'll do, I'll create another one. Spotify built Meghan her own studio in her own home. They gave her a team of their staff. They interviewed some guests on her behalf. They completely edited everything for her. And she only managed 12 episodes in over 2.5 years before she was labelled alongside her husband as lazy effing grifters, and the deal collapsed. Mutually terminated, they tried to push, but then they subtly started blaming Spotify with leaks that were coming out to newspapers because Spotify didn't do enough for them. Can you believe that? Honestly, unbelievable. And more recently, we found out because of Vanity Fair, it was actually some of the Spotify and Gimlet staff that was so terrified of working with Meghan that they decided to take sick days. Some quit their jobs and some were put in long-term therapy. This isn't even her staff anymore. This is another company's staff that were there to help her. Let's talk about the fact that Meghan has been caught out on so many lies. We're not talking little white lies, little oopsies. We are talking whopping great big Pinocchio would be ashamed of her. Take this one for example.
And he came and he knelt next to my seat and he took his hat off. And I just remember looking at him, he goes, "We appreciate everything you did for our country." And it was the first time that I felt like someone saw the sacrifice.
No, Meghan, nobody believes that he did that. Nobody would thank you for your service because you didn't actually do anything for the country apart from take the weakest link out of the royal family. So I guess for that reason, some of us should be really happy that you arrived. But let's not pretend that that story had any more truth to it than the people that were apparently dancing and rejoicing in the streets upon her wedding to Harry, as they did when Nelson Mandela was released in South Africa. I mean, that woman. But again, most people being caught out on huge lies like that wouldn't dream in front of a TV camera telling more of them. But here she was with Drew Barrymore. Check this whopper out.
And so I will tell you just, when I was a babysitter nanny for 2 Irish Catholic families when I was in college. And one of the dads said to me, he's like, Meghan, when you meet your person one day, I want him to say to you the same thing that I said to my wife when we got married, which is, I vow to always date my wife. And I told H that when we started dating. He goes, I vow to always date you.
You can literally see her nose growing with every word she was saying. How do I know that Meghan wasn't a nanny? Well, why do you think that we have never heard this story ever before? That Meghan, knowing that her mother-in-law, Prince William, and Harry's mother, Princess Diana, was a nanny, do you not think that Meghan would have thrown that around and out there to get more comparisons? Especially when she was dressing like her and posing like her. We would have heard the story before. And this is exactly what's going to happen on this new podcast. It will be exactly like archetypes. It will be exactly like it was on with Love Meghan. She cannot help herself. She is a pathological liar. I think that we can all predict that Meghan is going to come out with lots more stories to do with her childhood and growing up that will be easily proved as a lie. But most other people would go, oh no, I best start telling the truth because people will find out. She doesn't care. She's going to keep on going. Meghan is definitely going to mention, without a doubt, how much she sacrificed to be with Harry. You know it's coming, you know it's coming. She'll be talking to someone, obviously naturally turning whatever they were saying into a story about herself. And she'll be talking about, for the last few years, I've not been able to do anything. I haven't been able to garden. I haven't been able to bake. You know, I've only just started making jam again. It's just been so hard, the evil royal family. But now I am finally beginning to find who I am. This week, because we all know next week, Meghan will be a completely different person. She will absolutely talk over her guests and make every single story come back round very quickly to herself. And I am also 99% certain that Meghan will do exactly what she did on Archetypes and with Love Meghan, where we will not learn anything interesting about her guests. The moment the guests get into a flow and start saying anything interesting, Meghan will launch another anecdote. We will have another story that none of us have heard ever before as she giggles and breathes her way through it. A really amusing and entertaining story that she's making up as she goes. So after listening to that, maybe admiration is the wrong word. Maybe it's, as I said, maybe it's fascination. I really don't know, but I can't quite look away from Meghan, really. She is entertaining at the very least. But it was when Prince Charles called her tungsten. They said at the time it was a compliment because it meant that she was really tough. She was unyielding. She was unbending and like steel. But I think whatever Meghan Markle is made of, I don't think it's any type of metal that we've ever seen before, to be honest with you. I think Frodo could throw her into the fiery pits of Mount Doom and she wouldn't melt. She'd just come lazily, like a lazy river, she'd just come wafting down the river of lava, waving at us and smiling as she goes on to her next business venture. Now, some people say it's her narcissism. That's why she just keeps coming and coming like Samara, the evil child down the well from the horror film The Ring. But I don't know. It could be narcissism. It could just be the simple fact that Meghan has the biggest hubris I have ever known on anybody. And the fact that she did have the cheek to even reference or to try and get a reference to Queen Elizabeth II and St. Patrick's Day, well, again, it's earned her a little bit of backlash and people saying, I don't understand why she gets so much of it. She courts it. She does it on purpose. And if you can't see that, then I guess I can't help you. But for the rest of you guys, tell me your thoughts on this. You may have also noticed that I'm not filming myself on my iPhone. I have got a new camera. I decided to join the world of modern vlogging after 4.5 years. I'm no longer using my iPhone. Please, can you tell me about the clarity? Do you like it? Can you hear me clearly? It's got a little microphone, so I'd love to hear your thoughts. So guys, that's it for me. I will see you very soon. Take care for now. Bye.